I am going to sneak in here with a brief overview of a little bit of foresight thinking about DIAC, which you've already heard about. Who here doesn't remember what DIAC is from Brennan's talk? It's defense accelerationism, decentralized acceleration, democracy accelerationism. And I want to tell you a little bit about why that is really important, because it's definitely guiding much of our fellowships and grants that we're giving. So if you're interested in working in that area, I want you to know that this really matters. So we wrote a book, Gaming the Future, on like how to use game theory for constructing secure, decentralized cooperation amongst humans and AIs in the long-term future. That we wrote a few years ago. And then Vitalik came along with a DIAC post a year and a half ago, and he explained many of the areas that we're interested in just a very succinct and fantastic way. But like when you apply DIAC to AI, what does that actually mean? So when you think about AI or making a world of humans and AIs safe and secure and beneficial, many people, the traditional kind of like AI safety spectrum perhaps, is focused on influencing the development of the AI systems through RLHF, through regulation, basically like really trying to work with the AI systems, trying to get them into a stage where they're safe. And I think that's, safe and sound, but I'm not actually sure if we can control this in the long run, right? Like AI agents ultimately will develop in ways that we find it very, very hard to pass right now. And there will be some evolutionary pressures. So I think rather than just focusing on like down-regulating or perhaps like changing or manipulating, perhaps on a shorter time frame, the AI agents themselves, and trying to restrain them, what if we focus on strengthening the civilization infrastructure in which we are interacting with the AIs? So we're strengthening the playing field in which humans and AIs actually interface. So that's mostly the digital world. And what about if we strengthen the human too, right? Why don't we defend ourselves better and improve humans as well along the way? So there's a few fields, for example, in the playing field, a few fantastic examples of like who's really working on amazing computer security. Who here, for example, has heard of SEL4? It's a provably secure microkernel that has also withstood a DARPA grand challenge. So it's provably secure, and it withstood an actual DARPA grand challenge. If we have systems that are provably secure while being red tested or red teamed, we're in a much better position to have the infrastructure through which we cooperate with AI systems not being hacked and vulnerable to them. So first thing we needed to focus on, and that what we're funding in the grants, is computer security. Second up, if you look at the playing field, game theory. So I already mentioned to you, like, if, let's say, Elizabeth, you and I want to cooperate. I offer you a deal and you say yes. I don't actually know if you will follow through because you're opaque to me. I can't look into your head. And that's how evolution has worked for human and culture evolution and cooperative evolution for a really long time. AI systems are changing this. So, for example, you already have these papers on basically the game theory of cooperation of open source agents. Open source agents are agents that can like read each other's source code and check whether the other agent will cooperate or not. That's very different to how humans cooperate. And that's amazing because it means we can build conditional contracts with them possibly and new institutions that make new cooperative equilibria possible. But it's also possibly scary because they might collude and out-cooperate us because we have not evolved to cooperate in the same ways. So we need to pay attention to this and get much better at actually interacting with AI agents. Next one, if you think about the human, how do we actually improve human defenses, right? I think the first one, we need to rely on AI automation. We need to make it our own. We need to automate as much R&D as we can and as much forecasting as we can. So there's a few fantastic projects that are really doing AI for science and R&D. Many of them we funded. So, for example, we funded a project BrainGPT that is using AI to automate a bunch of neuroscience literature. And there's a bunch of AI forecasting competitions where they're literally using AI bots to forecast our metaculus. So I think we really need to lean into the power that AIs can empower humans with. Because if we don't do that, ultimately, it means that we will be pretty much left. I think we'll have struggle keeping up, and we might already do. Last but not least, you already heard a lot about neurotechnology, so I won't go into the depth of this, but I really want to drill in the fact that very advanced neurotechnology for the first time ever is now possible, and that is thanks to AI. It's thanks to much better behavior recording, neural recording, and multimodal machine learning that can allows us to make much better sense of the data rather than having to do connectomics. Maybe we can just rely on better data aggregation using AI to get to things like emulations, lo-fi emulations, as we call them at Foresight, and as we funded throughout the past. And so I think I really want you to lean into this notion of what would it look like if instead of trying to down-regulate and like actually change the AI systems where I'm just not sure how long-term sustainable that's going to be. We actually focus on improving our civilization infrastructure and us humans. So that's my pitch for that. We have a grant program in this. We're giving out, that's very outdated. We gave out $2 million in annual AI safety grants focused on DIAC. Now it's more 1.5 million per quarter because Bitcoin rose. So thanks to many of you donating to us, we can give a lot more funding in that area. If you're interested, please talk to me. We have an annual fellowship in this area. You already heard from Michael Shehertsky earlier here today. And we have monthly virtual seminars in this field, including annual workshops and the one with Vitalik and the Ethereum Foundation that we're helping organize coming up in March NSF. So if you're interested in learning more about this, come talk to me. It's definitely my passion project. And yeah, I think I bought enough time for our next panel. Is that correct?